let me say a few words before we started. So dear all, today we have our follow-up session to Scrum Day Ukraine 2021, which takes part right now in 2022, because our fantastic speaker, Pia Maria Toran, found ability to participate, join, and give us some new thoughts. Scrum Day is the community of people who are really in agile, really in practices, really in top new cutting edge technologies and frameworks. And now we have ability to learn something new. Tatiana, could you please introduce Pia Maria?
Yes, sure. Well, meet Pia Maria Thoran. She is absolutely wonderful person who wrote the bestseller You Must Know, or if you don't know it, you should read it. It is the book Agile People. And Pia Maria is also the co-organizer of the Agile People organization network that holds HRs and managers from all over the world and helps them to become really valuable members and yes, and really good at what they are doing in the context of modern agile development. So we expect very much from you, Pia Maria, and we hope you will find us a good audience ready to listen and ready to participate.
Great, thank you so much, Tatiana, and I'm very happy to be here. And I apologize for not being able to come to the conference itself, but then I said I will do a follow-up session to meet all of you. So I'm going to give you a presentation today about the role for HR and managers in the future of work. And I believe this will be the Agile People Coach that all HR people and manager need to take for the future of work. So I will start and I will leave some time in the end for questions. I have a sharp stop at 7 o'clock CET, that will be 8 o'clock your time. So I will try to do the presentation in more or less 45 minutes or less. And then I will open up for questions and discussions around what I've been talking about. Okay. Let's start to describe a little bit more what Agile People is. And Agile People is actually a community with people who believe in a better way when it comes to how we run organizations in a complex world. We in Agile People are all passionate about combining Agile and people to create conditions for a workplace where people feel happy and have what they need to perform in an optimal manner. We have taken the values and the principles from the Agile Manifesto, mixed it with the modern Agile framework. We have spiced it up with our own Agile People Manifesto. And from there, we have created 35 Agile People principles that we believe that all organizations, regardless of size or industry, need to increase. How we view other people becomes the first and most important learning here. Douglas MacGregor wrote this book in the end of the 1950s, and it's called The Human Side of the Enterprise. And in this book, he writes about theory X and Y, and this is how we view other people and how the human mind works. So we can either view people as if they are X, that they are lazy and don't want to take responsibility. You need to bribe them with sticks and carrots, and they are not motivated naturally, but you need to force them to do work because they don't do it if you don't force them. The why view of people, on the other hand, is when you view people as motivated by intrinsic motivation, and that they actually want to create value for other people naturally, and that they will do so if they get the right conditions in the system of work, in your work environment. They will also create value if they get the possibility to do it. So the takeaway here is that most people see themselves as why people, and they believe that only other people are X. So then you can ask yourself, is this just a prejudice that we have about other people? And if they would get the right conditions in the workplace, would they also turn into Y persons? Because it's really about the system of work and how we are providing the best conditions for our employees. Do we believe in them, and do we set them up for success by providing an organization system where they can release their full human potential? Or do we set them up to fail by not giving them the opportunity to do what they do best every day, and not removing impediments for performing, and not giving them resources that they need to be able to succeed? If we make sure that every person can show up every day and be their best selves, do we then believe that they will perform better and be happier at work? That's the question. And of course, it's not about being an X person or a Y person. It's the way that we treat people as a result of our beliefs about people that will make the whole difference, because you will get a corresponding reaction from your people depending on how you treat them. How we view people then affects how we structure our management processes. So it all starts with how we view other people and what kind of structures we believe that we need to build up to set them up for success. And here's an example of how the X view of people played out in history. And here we are in the ironing department, where these women today many times are replaced with robots. It was about doing the same thing over and over again. And the challenge here was to make the workflows as effective as possible and to standardize processes. The women on this picture, they had no say in how things should be done. It was all carefully thought out by a few, mostly men in the top, and they were just doing what they were told, more or less like brainless robots. In the future of work, if we turn to look at that, this is the transition that we see will happen. And it has already started, and it has also been speeded up by the pandemic. So artificial intelligence and robotics will ultimately create more work for us, not less. And there won't be a shortage of jobs in the future of work, but there might be a shortage of the right skills and the right talent to fill those jobs available in the future, because these will be totally different roles and totally different kinds of jobs that will appear that we haven't even seen a fraction of yet. The majority of the workforce will not be employed by 2027. Instead, they will be freelancers, partnering up with different entrepreneurs to do projects together. And remote work becomes the norm. And no, I didn't do this slide now after the pandemic started. I actually did it 3 years ago. So now we see this happening, really, that remote work is the norm for knowledge worker, and people have a new geographic freedom to live where they want and work on the other side of the globe if they want. That means that the recruitment situation has changed drastically. You can recruit people from other countries doing work for your organization. So it's a totally different workplace that we see appearing. Very interesting times. In this complex reality that we live in, we have to move from viewing the organization as a machine that can be controlled and managed to view it instead as a social system. People are not cogs in a machinery. People have feelings, dreams, challenges, and thoughts, and they cannot be controlled. People are not robots. People are complex, adaptive systems that work from intrinsic motivation. And that means that we need to stop to see people as resources and view them as the living organisms as they are, who we need to treat all differently to work optimally. So we cannot continue to standardize or box people with labels or grades anymore. We just need the skills to understand what makes each person tick. Why do people do what they do, and what motivates each person? To create a well-functioning social system is a very complex task, and we need to use a lot more experimentation and trial and error for it to work. And there are no recipes for success here, and Agile is not the silver bullet, I'm sorry to say. So what do you need to do to make a person function optimally? Well, you need to care about basic intrinsic psychological needs, and they differ from person to person. They are very different. So you need to take that into account. You need to take the team into account. How do we make these different people work together? And then how do we make all these teams that make up the organization work together by empowering the teams to make their own decisions? I have written 3 books about these topics: Agile HR, Agile Leadership, and Human Motivation at Work. And this is the first book that came out in 2017 because I needed some course material for my Agile HR course. The second book is a picture book with 220 illustrations that complement the message from the first book. This is a friend of mine. His name is Nico Simpson. His wife is Elsa Simpsons, and they are from South Africa. They created this book together with me, complementing the message from the first book. The last book came out in September 2020, and this is something that we started up when the pandemic started. So it's a co-creation project between myself and 35 Agile people around the world who have each written 1 chapter about the Agile People principles. Okay, so let's start by looking at the problems with traditional leadership and HR. This one, you know, we believe that we can control reality and we can make a perfect plan, but reality really looks different. So the problem here is that the world is not predictable anymore, and we need feedback regularly from reality to make the right choices along the way. So instead of making this perfect plan that we already know before it starts will not happen, you accept reality and adapt to it as we go. Another problem is that we are focusing on the shareholder value when we should in fact focus first on the customer value and the employee satisfaction. Happy employees serve customers, and happy customers will lay the foundation for a profitable organization that can deliver value to the shareholders. But the value to shareholders and the results and the profits is a consequence of the value creation happening between employees and customers. So you are not in business to make money. You are in business instead to create value for a customer. And the customer could be internal or external to the organization. Like Frederick Laloux is writing in his book, Reinventing Organizations, profit is like the air we breathe. We need air to live, but we don't live to breathe. So we need the profit to survive as a company, but that's not the reason why we run the company. The reason is instead to create value for some customers. So focusing on customer value becomes the most important goal here. Another problem is that our organizational system is not making it very easy for us to perform. Instead, the system is limiting us, putting obstacles in the way for great performance and letting people be themselves and perform from their abilities. Think about it, a good system can make a mediocre person fantastic, and the bad system can make a high performer perform really bad. So fix the system, as William Edwards Deming said. About control, another problem. The definition here of control is the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events. And in business terms, this means controlling people or controlling the future. And this is actually the grand illusion that most managers believe in. They believe that people can and must be managed and that the future is predictable and manageable. And these two things we all know are not true at all. So we also have problems with annual budget processes. They are very time consuming. The assumptions that we make in the budget process work are very quickly outdated, and it stimulates unethical behaviors, competition instead of collaboration. It creates illusions of control when everybody knows that we don't have control at all. Decisions are made too early and often too high, and it guarantees that we have the planned costs, but not the planned revenues. And it could prevent value-adding activities that we could engage in if we didn't have the annual budget. So a lot of problems here. Then to continue, the budget goals of departments in organizations are often linked to fixed performance targets and an evaluation in the end of the year, a rating or a performance review. But what are the problems then with this? Well, a year is too long when the organizational reality changes so quickly. And we are focusing here on judging the past when we should instead focus on improvement for the future. And the feedback during the year is many times non-existing. And does the boss really know best? We can question that. Maybe other people in the organization knows better how I have performed. It's connected to salary, which leads to sandbagging and lower set goals, and sub-optimizing effects from this process breed competition, not cooperation. We are focusing on the wrong things, just results and not the behaviors that could grant us long-term success. We are only focusing not on what matters most, but only on finances and numbers and results, when we should instead be focusing on customer value and employee satisfaction. Another problem is the employee engagement. The vast majority of our workplaces are not great places to work, very far from it. So from 69 to 94% of employees are either not engaged or actively disengaged at work. There is another problem I'm going to bring up with management, and that is that managers are feeling a lack of psychological safety in, for example, agile transformation programs, because they might ask themselves, what happens to me and my role here when we become agile? What will become of me when everybody seems to be able to manage themselves and lead themselves, and they don't need to be managed anymore? And this problem needs to be taken very seriously and can potentially ruin the whole change initiative. The skills that took managers to the position they are in today are often not the skills that are needed for the future of work in a complex world. So for an agile organization, it's more about for managers to removing impediments for people to be able to perform than managing and making decisions. Although sometimes the organization may need someone to take and make tough decisions when the teams cannot do it themselves. So it's about moving in and out of different roles here. How then do managers go from the traditional high power and status kind of leadership to servant and transformational leadership? Well, we need to make it very possible for leaders to change in the system. And how do you do that? You do that by changing the environment. And we need to inspire leaders to find this intrinsic motivation to do that and to help them to attain an agile mindset that could form the basis for an agile culture. But these are two conflicting goals, as it's only the leaders who can change organizational structures that will make it possible for increased business agility to happen. And to do that, they need the mindset. But they can only get the mindset by having the right structures in place in the first place. So this is a catch-22 dilemma, I would say. So where do we go from here? What will be the leader's role when everyone seems to be able to manage themselves and have no need to be told what to do or be judged in a 9-box grid anymore? And what should we do about all these problems? Well, people ask me all the time, and I actually have some ideas. And one of the ideas has to do with a new role that leaders and HR need to take for the future of work. I believe that leaders and HR, they are the influencers of any organization. And if they don't go first, people will not change at all. So let's start with Agile HR, and let's have an overview of what it is and the change that needs to happen in HR. The Agile model of HR states that human resources, their job is not just to implement controls and standards and drive execution, but rather to facilitate and improve organizational agility. And this changes HR's mission and focus drastically. Driving agility means driving programs which create adaptability and speed and innovation and collaboration. HR should be leading the change in my mind. I believe that HR has been sitting in the backseat for much too long, and it's time to step up and show what you can do for the organization. So it's all about the people and the system in which the people live and work. And since the organization is a network, it's a network of people and relationships and teams and things happening everywhere. And if we can give the right conditions for people to work in this complex system, they will take care of the rest. We don't need to do more things, but we need to learn how to stop hindering people from giving their best effort to the company by providing the wrong structures. So HR has a power to decide on many of these structures that can support people to perform or make it more difficult to contribute in creative and innovative manners. And what are these structures, you may ask yourselves? Well, it's about change management. It's about leadership programs and leadership development. It's about people development, talent acquisition, performance management, compensation and benefits, and learning and development. All these deep structures that the whole organization will be affected by. If they don't go first and stop hindering people and do these processes in a totally different way, nobody can change. And that's why HR needs to go first. So here HR has an opportunity to make a real difference. So instead of focusing on using job descriptions to close people into boxes marked with labels, job roles, we need to focus on letting people be their best selves at work and start from the person when we create their job. There are few people who fit a predefined job description perfectly from the beginning, and often they have other skills as well that the organization could benefit from that we are missing out on if we are not open to tailor their roles to some degree. So in Agile, we talk about T-shaped competency. You need to have both breadth and depth. And you can also call these people generalized specialists or specialized generalists. This way of seeing people creates flexibility. For the individually, we create the possibility to broaden or deepen competence depending on what they're interested in. For the team, we create an increased flexibility when everyone can take on each other's tasks. And also competence development when learning from each other, working in pairs and trying out many different tasks and things within the team. For the organization as a whole, it makes competency shifts possible, and it minimizes the risk of bottlenecks in competence if we are T-shaped. And we have a much better adaptability to the changing organizational competence requirements. We don't have to fire people because we don't need their job role anymore, because if they are T-shaped, they can always do something else in the organization. So the most valued people in any organizations are the ones that have been taking many different roles in many different parts or functions of the company. So this is a great tool to use for any HR or people and culture department when understanding how to optimize employee experience. This is the employee journey mapping. So that makes us have a much more profound understanding of your employees' needs and struggles, and can help you to support them to perform better and be happier, which is HR's top priority, by the way. It very much resembles the customer journey mapping, where you identify touch points for a potential customer in each step, from awareness to satisfied customers who recommend you and buy again. So, and these employees, they become your most incredible supporters and pave the way to a prosperous organization that can spend more on employee well-being and happiness, and potentially reach their goals. So it's all about understanding people's needs. Okay, let's have a look at the difference between an HR professional and the Agile People Coach here. So instead of having just extensive HR process competence, we also understand complex systems. Instead of just deep skills in some HR specialist area, we also have deeper general people skills, psychology, sociology, relationship management, and so on. And instead of having no formal power to lead the transformation, they have more trust to influence the transformation. Instead of being stuck in certain roles, they have the flexibility to wear different hats depending on the need of the people. And instead of one-size-fits-all trainings and solutions, we have solutions tailored towards unique local needs. And instead of developing and deliver solutions to the business, we develop solutions together with the business, just as an Agile team does, deliver solutions together with the customers. Instead of mainly supporting just managers, an Agile HR department needs to support all the people in an organization. And instead of having a slightly parental view on the employees, they treat them like children, they need to treat the employees as adults. And instead of focusing on individual performance, they need to enable system performance by working on the conditions and the environment. And instead of expecting answers, they need to also develop their listening and observing skills. Instead of checking compliance, they need to enable improvement in all corners of the organization. And instead of being only back office workers, they need to go out there in the organization, talk to the people, walk the floor, go to Gemba, we say in Toyota, when you go down to the factory floor and actually see the workers and talk to the people who do the actual work. What about the Agile leaders then? How does that look like? Well, here we move from managing performance, where people are told what to do and they are micromanaged. Even if they have great ideas, they are not listened to in this scenario. And then we move towards enabling performance. And the CEO, of course, in this scenario becomes the chief enabling officer, not the chief executive officer. But of course, it's not just the CEO who needs to change. Everybody needs to work with a supportive and facilitating leadership that should be all about creating motivation towards common goals. A good leader can create conditions for performer and co-worker satisfaction by working on the system so that it's easy. So everybody needs to be a leader and take part of the leadership. That's why we have a lot more leaders in organizations that have high levels of people and business agility. So how do you build psychological safety? Because this is one of the platforms that we talk about a lot in Agile People, that we have psychological safety in the teams. How do you create this environment where people feel free to speak up and admit errors and mistakes so that everyone can learn from them? And instead of covering up your mistakes, you actually say, hey, I made a mistake. Let's all learn from them. Well, you need to show this vulnerability. If you're a leader, you need to go first and show this. And then people understand that you are not perfect. Even though you're a leader, you're not perfect. So as a manager, you must acknowledge your own fallibility and ask lots of questions. And this is how you can increase the pace of learning. And the learning organization is an agile organization. You can ask questions like, what do you think? We can't know what will happen. We need everybody's brain to try to figure out the best way moving forward. And this is okay if you want to learn by mistakes, for example. You ask questions before and after they make mistakes, preferably before, of course, so that the entire organization can learn faster, which is the goal. The Gardner metaphor for leadership is a beautiful one. And here we see the company as a garden. And there is an overall purpose with the garden. It could be to be as beautiful as possible, or it could be to deliver fruits and vegetables. And my point here is that the leader is the gardener. So regardless of the purpose of the garden needs to be taken care of to reach its purpose. So we need to take care of the plants. And we know that different plants have different needs. Some like a lot of sunshine, some like more shadow, some like more or less water, some need some special fertilizer, maybe some need to grow together with other plants to become big and beautiful together. Some need a lot of space, some grow slower. So the agile leader is the gardener who take care of the plants and understand the needs and have competence about the needs of every different kind of plant. It's not the same for a carrot or an apple tree or a bush or some other plants. So we cannot force plants to grow. We can only create the right conditions in the soil for the plants to grow. We cannot scream to them, you know, grow more, faster, quicker, now, you know, they don't care. We can only put the seed in the ground, and then we can only hope that it will grow. And if it doesn't, we need to find out why doesn't that plant grow. Maybe something wrong with the environment. Maybe it doesn't like to be in the shadow. Maybe it's something we did wrong. But even if we did everything right, sometimes the seed doesn't grow. Or it may come up as a weed in our garden, but it may fit very good in another garden since there may be other conditions there. The Agile People Coach is a new role that more and more people discover, and we created this new role since we believe it will be crucial for HR and leaders to change their role fundamentally to support their organizations and the people to increase agility. And an Agile People Coach can take many different roles. So except for the usual Agile coach roles, the mentor, facilitator, trainer, and coach, they can also take the role as a guide or a navigator or a reflective observer. And they can come from being a formal leader or an HR professional or maybe an Agile coach. So this is what we see. Different paths lead to become an Agile People Coach. And you can still have formal power when you are an Agile People Coach. You have more focus here on people than on process. And maybe you don't need any tech skills at all, actually, as long as you have deep people skills and understand your organization's business in a good way. So I'm moving towards the end of my presentation here. So we cannot do it alone. To be able to remove the limiting structures that we see in organizations, we need to start collaborating and spanning boundaries of different kinds. HR cannot do it alone, and leaders cannot do it alone, and finance cannot do it alone. We need everybody to start talking and have dialogues across boundaries of different kinds, starting the conversation, nudging the system and the people, and move in that common direction together. So when we work with Agile, we don't follow any recipes. There are no recipes or best solutions that always work in a complex reality. But we do know that when we stick to certain principles rather than rules, it tends to work well. Best practice is always past practice, and only mediocre companies follow best practice, because you will never be better than the competitors if you follow best practice. And I read somewhere the other week that best practice today lasts only a week. So that tells a bit about how important it is to always reinvent the wheel and always see, okay, what's the next experiment that we can do to find a better way. So how do we grow the culture? How do we change the system? I have a small 3-step process here. We start by changing or unlearning, removing limiting structures, mainly from finance, the budgets linked to fixed performance targets and rewards. So this is from finance and HR, these processes that needs to change. And then we increase instead the supporting structures to make it easy to behave according to the Agile principles. And this could be Scrum, this could be Kanban boards, this could be objectives and key results, and different kinds of structures that support us instead of hinder us. And then we start showing the new behaviors that come from learning new ways of acting and working. And then we repeat from 1, because, these limiting structures have a tendency to creep back on us. It's called bureaucracy. In theory, when more than 50% of all people change their habits and their behaviors, culture will change. And it's even maybe less percentage if it's the influencers who change first. We in Agile People put together this manifesto to support you to understand how the move needs to look like. So here we came together in 2019 and we created these principles as the result. And that's the Agile People Manifesto that you find on agilepeoplemanifesto.org. So I just want to finish with a last shout out here. And that is to start today to follow this principle and to start your personal and organizational learning journey towards greater people and business agility. The sooner you do start, the sooner you will reap the benefits from happy performing people working together towards a common vision. So that's how I want to finish. We invite you, please join the Agile People community. We have a free membership on our site that you can find on agilepeople.com. And we also have a lot of training and different resources and subscriptions for you. So welcome to Agile People. And with that, I'm going to open up for questions and see if you have any reactions on my presentation. What do you think? Let's see if we have something in the chat here.
Yeah, we have Kirill. Kirill raised his hand. So Kirill,
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very interesting. Great ideas and examples. And I have small questions. Following the above examples, everything goes well, but there is always a toxic person who will find something to say that everything we do is not right, but only he knows that to do. What is your opinion? Maybe it is worth trust him to resolve the issue, or you need to do something else. Remove him from the team since he's not playing the team.
Negative persons who are against Agile. What do we do with them? Well, we are not wasting energy on them. We could listen because they may have good perspectives as well. But I think that if they are so toxic that we cannot continue to work in the direction that we have decided that we are going to work. Yes, we need to remove them. But from the beginning, you need to listen. Maybe they have a point, you know, it may be that they have a point. There is a reason why they are saying what they are saying. So try to listen deeply and try to ask questions to the person around what they are saying and how they are acting. And try to understand, really be curious instead of becoming angry or going into conflict and personal attacks, because artificial harmony is worse. We need a level of healthy conflict in the team. Of course, it can become too much. And we know that it becomes too much when we move to personal attacks, when we start to attacking people personally. But if people are questioning what we do, this is healthy. This is a healthy conflict. So there is a fine line here, a balance that you need to keep.
Thanks a lot for answer. Thanks.
What do we do with the budgets? Yes, we do, instead of doing fixed annual budgets, we do forecasting. And we can do, for example, every month or every 3 months, we look at and estimate costs and income all the time, changing. Maybe it turns up a fantastic initiative that is not in the budget today, and then we cannot do it unless we have this flexibility in the budget. So the bank is open all the year instead of only being open in September and October when we do the budget. And then we all the time have to reprioritize our efforts and see, okay, maybe there's a better alternative. Then maybe we should be doing this instead, or we should reallocate resources to some other part of the company. And this is how we work with budgets, more rolling forecasts. There is the Beyond Budgeting Roundtable, where you can find a lot of material about agile budgeting. bbrt.org is the web address to this.
Can you please write it in the chat?
I can't, because it turns it into birch when I do that. I don't know why. I've tried it before, but it's bbrt.org. Yes.
So please check if
every time when I write it, it turns it into birch. I don't know.
Okay, birch. Yeah. It's a tree.
bbrt.org. I see that somebody else managed to do it.
It's me.
Yeah,
it was me. Okay.
It's great.
Very good. Thank you. Pia Maria, we have raised hands from Igor.
Igor.
Yes.
What do you want to ask, Igor?
Yes. Good evening. Nice to meet you. We all expect you on Scrum Day. Nice to see you today. So my question is going to be, how can we change outsource mindset if we are talking about product company? Because sometimes, you know, some companies positioning themselves like a product, but working with them, you understand that it is kind of outsourcing mindset. So my question, how can we change this, or maybe how can we move this transformation from outsourcing mindset to product mindset? That is my question. Thank you.
Outsourcing mindset. That's a concept that I don't really understand what you mean when you say that.
Oh, so for example, outsourcing, it's, for example, when you doing just kind of developing for a company from, let's say, from England. And yep.
You're doing outsourcing, yes, but you're getting the deliverables to your company, right? And it's your company who should have the mindset, right?
Yeah, I mean, like product mindset. How can it's possible to move from outsourcing mindset to product mindset?
I have no idea. I've never thought about it. Never ever thought about that. And I'm not sure I understand still what you mean. To move from outsourcing mindset to product mindset. because you're producing a product for a client. Is that the case?
Yeah, let's say from management 2.0 to management 3.0.
Yeah. So how do we move leaders, you mean?
Yeah. How do we move leaders with this transformation? How can
we don't move them, because they have to move themselves. So awareness is the first step, and then it's training, understanding what to do, and then it's coaching and consulting. So the middle management, they have the most to lose with business and people agility, because they have worked hard to be where they are. They have gained status, they have gained power, they have gained money, probably a fat salary. They have the most to lose of all groups, and they don't have the agile mindset. They have a mindset for being competitive in a totally different setting, the traditional hierarchical organization. And this is the mindset they have. So this is not something you do easily. To 30 years of thinking in a certain manner doesn't really make it easy to change that mindset. So it's not going to happen probably with the managers, unless you have a very strong top management team that really wants to change, and that moves the middle management into the teams, right? So this is the biggest challenge of all, I would say. So if you are determined to do this move in an organization, then many middle managers will have to change their role fundamentally and understand how they can get their needs for status, power, and other things met in an agile organization, because it looks totally different. It's the coaching and servant leadership that makes your team successful, that will make that manager successful, instead of the things that person does by themselves. But awareness that I might be superfluous if I don't change, that's and then training. What does it mean? How can I change? How can I become a servant leader, a transformational leader? And then coaching to make it stick. Bring in coaches, agile coaches and agile people coaches. That's how I recommend to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, Maria, in chat, we do have another question from Elena. Can you read it?
And before, there is a question from Elena Kizimenko. We also
yes, from Elena. Yes, right.
Thanks for the interesting presentation. How do you feel about the one-on-one meeting tool in Scrum teams that have a Scrum Master, a stack leader, and HR? Who is the best person to host these meetings if all of them won't it be too much? One-on-one meeting tool?
Oh yes, a one-on-one or one-to-one. It's.
Oh yeah. If you I understand now. Okay, so who is going to do the one-on-ones? That's the question. Anybody could do the one-on-ones. I don't think that all these people should do them. They should be done on a need basis, and it should be driven from the employees themselves, how much they need to talk to a manager or leader or whatever. If they feel psychologically safe, they will ask for coaching and feedback and how can I perform better, let's say, if they are psychologically safe and if they are trusted. So this is a formal kind of process that we are doing one-on-ones regularly, and it should maybe not be that formal, because the need for one-on-ones is different from person to person. Some people need a lot more support and some don't. So it should be on a case-by-case basis. And who does this person trust? Is it HR? Do you have a colleague maybe who could do the one-on-one with you because you trust your colleague more than your team leader or your Scrum Master? or HR? I don't know. The purpose of the one-on-one is always to coach a person to become better and to improve. And this can be done by anybody in the organization based on the needs of every employee. We don't need a formal structure around that. And then we have another one. We have Ulina. Thank you so much for your presentation. How can we implement the best practice for improving T-Shapedness of team members? T-Shapedness, that's what you get when you work in pairs and when you learn from each other all the time, that you instill a sense of wanting to learn from others. And that's when we communicate a lot. That's when we create the possibility and we promote the opportunity to work together more. And when we also maybe have a reward model that would reward people who are more T-shaped. Okay, so if you have had many different jobs in an organization, you could reward people on the number of jobs they have had, but not getting too much people jumping from job to job just to raise their salary. You could say that when you have been 3 years in this role or 2 years, if you move then laterally, you will get a raise. It depending on the complicatedness of the work. If you're a surgeon, for example, you may need 7 years before you become proficient in your role, and you're a very deep specialist, right? But for a communicator, it may be enough to learn everything in 1 or 2 years in your role, or at least most of the stuff that you need to know. So it's different depending on what job you're holding. How long will you stay in a certain role, because it makes sense before it makes sense to move laterally to another function or another position.
You? Thank you, very good. So any other questions, guys, girls? Okay, I have one question.
Yes.
So, Tia Maria, can you remember some advice you gave someone popped up right now in your mind about some strange situation related to HR processes?
Advice that I gave someone about strange HR processes. Yes, the most strange process from my perspective is the performance management process. It's not about managing performance, because you cannot manage performance. You can only enable performance. So I prefer to call it performance development or performance enablement instead. How do we enable performance? So seeing this from a different perspective is something that I usually give the advice to HR people to work, instead of working from compliance and measuring results. We work from intrinsic motivation and finding the intrinsic motivation in people. Maybe working with objectives and key results is a great way to replace the performance targets, I think. I like OKRs a lot.
Great, thank you. One other question from email I just had. So don't know why not in chat anyway. So the question related to bonuses. Are they good or not?
No, they are not good. It's a quick answer. Why are they not good? Well, the way we do it usually is not good, because you are judging. It's one person many times judging an employee, and that person may not know all the facts and so on. So bonuses based on what? That's the first question. Are they based on good behaviors, or are they based on some finance target or performance target? So better bonuses are based on good behaviors, but it's not the manager who should decide about bonuses. It's the team in that case who should decide that this person has contributed more than the others. And I think we can delegate that question to the teams to decide. And if the team don't want to take that decision, then they can delegate it back up to the manager, but then that's their decision to do that. Okay, so bonuses in general are not good, because what we are saying to people when we start paying bonuses is that, yes, we are paying you well and we believe in you. We think you have the right skills to join our organization, but we don't believe you're really motivated. So here is a bunch of money to make you even more motivated. And that does not increase motivation. Research shows that money does not increase motivation in people. And you don't perform better because you pay bonuses. And then you get used to the bonuses. So you expect to get the bonus every year. And if you remove the bonus, then you get dissatisfaction and demotivation instead. So generally, I'm against bonuses. Instead, I want high salaries from the beginning. Good high salaries. So we can instead lower management salaries because we don't need them anymore. We can let the managers join the teams, and then we hire the salary for everybody instead. That's my solution to the problem. Like formal managers are becoming obsolete for the future of work. And instead we have informal managers. The person with the most knowledge about something should be the person making the decision about something, we say in Agile. So the people who have competence should be making the decisions about that thing that they have competence around. And many times the people in the teams, they know this. So they go to this person and ask, hey, you know something about this. We know that. So we want to involve you in this decision. And then you listen to the people who have a lot of knowledge, and you can make the decisions on different levels. I don't know if you're familiar with delegation poker. It's one way of working with decision making. There are many other. We have consent decision making from sociocracy. We have many different ways of making decisions, except for the usual management way of making decisions. So there are alternatives to managers making the decisions.
So before I give the word to Kirill, the other question popped up when you said about the delegation of making decision about who should have some amount of money. Let's say if we have those bonuses and we say, okay, the team should decide who in the team, in this team should have more or less. So do you have any proven or let's say used by you scenarios or techniques how to run the session?
There is a tool called Bonusly.
Bonusly?
Yes, you can have a look at that. You can merit money is another method that you give points, because you give hugs or points or pluses or hearts or whatever to each other all the time in the team, because and then what you start to do is to reward the good behaviors rather than only rewarding results. Because if you help me in my project, I will give you a heart, right? So it's like likes. Who gets the most likes also gets the most money, maybe, or not. There are different methods of doing it, but merit money is one, Bonusly is another, where you distribute, you know, regularly, because this is fresh information and fresh decisions. Everybody get the same amount of maybe 10 points a month to give to all the other people in the team. And then you look at the end of the year, who got the most points.
Okay. Okay. Good, 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 good. Thank you.
And Jana has a question, actually, in chat. How can I explain this to my organization?
Difficult if you're the only one believing in it. So the more people you have in your organization and believe in this, the easier it will become. And then you spread them out. They are your ambassadors, and that's the people that you work with. You ask questions, because organizations develop in the direction that we ask the questions. So we ask, why are we doing this? How can we do it differently? What will the effects be if we do it this way? Blah, blah, blah. So we move people to think and to act in new and different ways by asking questions. So questions are very, very powerful to change any organization, because it's not threatening. We're actually just asking a question. We're not telling somebody to do some change, you know. We're asking, and that makes people think. And then you send them to my training when they become aware, and then I will take care of them. Agile leadership, Agile HR is my specialty, and we have many trainers doing that.
Sounds awesome. I guess we will visit your site once again, Agile People, and take a look on the trainings in your schedule, in the calendar. So I guess something there should be really tasty and sweet.
Yes. I have some people from Ukraine who joined actually before. So
sounds good. I'm proud for our people.
Yes, you can be.
So Kirill just raised his hand. Kirill, could you please talk? Yeah.
Yeah, I try to do it very quick. I have a small question. It's possible to come up with something else if suddenly people begin to leave the company? What can be done to prevent this from happening? And the additional information as additional, we have a product company, and there are all bonuses and goodies, and we don't have management 1.0 and maybe a little 2.0. What do you think?
Yeah, but if you're happy, that's fine. I mean, if you don't have any challenges or problems, what's then the problem? If you don't have a problem, don't solve it. Or if you have a problem, then you need to do something about it. But it seems like you're doing well, aren't you?
I think I'm doing all good, but people leave the company. And
why do they leave? Did you ask them why they left?
Part of this tell me something goes wrong, but without details. But any part tell me something like not all clear, not all understandable, something like this.
Yeah. So is it unclear goals or direction or what they are supposed to do and contribute with, or is it not clear their what they want to achieve, or don't they have a coach, or what is the real problem? You need to know people deeply to understand the real problem and their needs. So talking, communicating a lot with people and asking, why do you want to leave? Every time somebody leaves, that will give you some more data to work with and some more information, understanding what the real deeper problem is by people leaving. Because it may be that they get offers from other companies, right? And they leave because of different things. But if you really like your company, if you really like your peers and the work that you do together, you don't leave easily like that just because somebody is paying a little bit more. Then it must be something else that is the problem.
Thanks. I understand. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you suggest some kind of exit interview?
Yes, definitely. Yes. That's what you need. You need an exit interview always, and have a good ambassadors. Even the people who are leaving you, they are your ambassadors for the future. So if you treat them good in the final phase of their employment, you will have a great ambassador for your company later. And they may actually come back if the new company does not fulfill their expectations. So it's always a good idea to find out why people are leaving.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Alena Yanushkevich just posted the link, bonus.ly. Is it the tool you
Yes,
proposed, right?
let me check, because I don't know if they are still alive. That was a few years ago. Bonusly.com. Let's see if they are still alive. Yes, they are. Okay.
Okay, so it's something other, because
bonus.le. Okay, so bonus.ly. This is the one.
Okay.
They changed their domain name just.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, understand. Sounds very good. Sounds very good.
Yep.
Okay, good. Guys, girls, do we have any other questions, or we can wrap it up? Oh, Dmitry just posted. Yes, karmabot.chat is the same thing as Bonusly. So we have few tools to check. Very good.
Good. There are probably more. So if you do a Google search on paying fair salaries or something like that, you can probably find a lot that you can use for your company or your teams.
So here is some proposition before we wrapped it up. Let's try to turn on our cameras and make the photo in the end of our meeting. So nice people are here.
Yes. And great to see you all.
Okay. I hope that other ones are trying to prepare themselves. People, are you going to turn on your cameras?
I think everybody who wants to do it have maybe done it now. So we have some nice pictures, although they are not.
More, I see more.
Alive.
I see more pictures.
Yes, looks good.
It was final call and they listened.
Okay. Now we take a picture.
Yes, let's do it. I'm done. So yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Dear all, thank you much for joining. Dear Pia Maria, thank you much for sharing your thoughts, ideas, your fantastic presentation with cool and awesome graphics, I should say, and even more powerful ideas you gave and you put inside.
Hey, I will actually post in the chat the presentation, so bear with me just half a minute. I will find.
Okay, sure, we can wait.
Let's see, seminar.
Anyway, we will share it in the group. We have some Telegram chat, and soon we will share it for other participants of Scrum Day.
Okay, there you go.
Oh.
It's 16 megabytes, so it's quite
okay.
big.
We can wait a second, so it's okay.
So it's uploading right now.
I see it.
Yeah, great.
So everyone can.
You can grab the presentation from there if you want.
Yes.
And I think
we will share the presentation in the follow-up letter after the webinar.
Yeah.
And it doesn't want to download for now. Okay, it started slowly.
No, it works. I did it.
Okay.
Works, I did it. Yeah.
Fine. Very good. Check if it's openable.
Yes, I'm checking right now. Waiting.
Sounds very good. So
thank you, everybody. So take care now, and good luck with Agile and agility and your managers and HR people. And if you have a problem, let me know. Sure. I'm available on LinkedIn most of the time.
Okay, very good, very good. By the way, if you have right here your LinkedIn profile hyperlink, you can put it here.
We are having it on our website, so everyone can go and use the link.
Yeah.
Very good. So everyone should know that the link to Pia Maria's profile is on the Scrum Day website.
It's here as well.
And here it's once again. Very good. Very good.
I have some articles that you can read, and some, you can also join Agile People as a company and get all the updates that I'm sending out regularly for people. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are all. We are going to wrap up our meeting for today. Please take care and good luck for everyone.
Good luck. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Wish you health.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Okay. So I'm leaving you. I have a meeting at 7, so they are waiting. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you much. Thank you. Bye.